Today, we're going to be talking about buying a Airbnb investment property, right? I've been getting quite a few phone calls of people trying to get information on how to buy a Airbnb uh, property, not just for Airbnb, but for Verbio, Booking.com, and all the other websites that you could book on, homeshare.com. There's so many websites. All of these websites are always being mentioned as Airbnb, right? Everybody says Airbnb, but it's really called a short-term rental, right? So these are really short-term rental properties. And what that means is you are allowed to rent the property for a short term, meaning whether it be nightly, weekly, you might rent it for 2 nights here, a night here, a week there, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, anything short term. So in looking at short-term property, we're going to be focusing this evening on the Orlando area because that's where I'm at, Central Florida. And we're going to be talking about short-term rentals and how to buy those properties. And it's not just about renting on Airbnb, even though they're a very big platform. It's also about renting on VRBO, Booking.com, HomeAway.com, so many different websites that you could book on, and a lot of different private sites coming up as well. So let's look at how do we go about doing that if we're trying to buy something. What do we need to know if we're considering buying something like that, right? We need to figure that out. So I'm going to share my screen and bring up my PowerPoint. And I have to apologize. What was it? Last week, Thursday, I believe it was. Yes, it was last week, Thursday. I was sharing from a PowerPoint, guys. And this is so funny because I thought the PowerPoint was up and it really wasn't. So the whole time I'm saying, look at this, and this is what I'm trying to say. Nobody knew what I was talking about because my screen was not being shared. It was me on the screen the whole time. And I didn't know this until I actually stopped the video and was rewatching it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I apologize for that. So now I know my screen is up. So we're going to talk tonight about how to buy a property for Airbnb investment. And as I said, not just Airbnb, but for short term. I didn't want to use the word short-term investment because a lot of people will not know what I'm talking about when I say short-term. And I know this because a lot of time when I speak to my buyers and they're calling me looking to buy something for a short-term rental, but they're saying Airbnb. And if I say short-term and they're saying Airbnb, the connection is not being made because they're thinking I'm talking about something else. So when it comes to short-term rental, the area you're buying in is going to be very important, especially if you're trying to buy around the Disney World area. And also you want the development you're buying in has to be zoned for short-term rental, which means the homeowners association has to allow that. Now I know a lot of times when people come into Florida, they don't know much about homeowners association and why they have to pay an HOA fee and why so many things have a HOA. But in Florida, in the Central Florida area especially, a lot of developments are governed by homeowners association, which is a HOA. And the HOA has to approve the short-term rental. One of the good advantage of having an HOA is that the property will remain in good condition. The HOA makes sure that the development stays in a certain way, that it always looks good, that it's always maintained, that owners are doing what they're supposed to do to keep the neighborhood looking good. So that way your investment is secure and your equity will go up for the most part, right? Some HOAs offer more amenities than others. So that means each development has its own HOA, right? So we have different developments like Windsor Palms, Windsor Hills, Emerald Island, Story Lake, Reunion, Champions Gate. There's so many developments, I can't even keep track of them, right? Encada, there's so much of them. So each of them have their own HOA. And some development offers only townhomes, some offers only condos, and some offer a combination of townhomes and homes, and some offer just homes or just townhomes, right? So different combination. The closer you are to Disney World, the closer you are to Disney World, the more expensive the property will be. The more amenities the HOA is offering, the more your HOA will be. So a lot of times we get into the situation where why is the HOA $500 a month over here and the HOA over there is $200 per month? It depends upon what is being offered. The HOAs that offer things like a beachfront entry pool, gym, sauna, maybe a restaurant and bar on location. Some developments even offer water parks now on site. Um, if they offer a sand volleyball area, a spa, the more they offer, the more you'll pay. But then you have to look at it as if you're buying as a short-term rental investment to rent Airbnb and Booking.com and Verbio, then the more amenities you're going to offer your guests, then the more nightly rate you could also charge. So the two kind of balances out each other. If you offer less amenities, you're going to charge less nightly fee, and you might not get the same guests that you'll get with the more amenities, if that makes sense, right? So when people are coming into Florida, they're thinking of either going to the parks or going to the beach. If they're new to the Disney area, they're going to more be thinking about the Disney World, Universal, SeaWorld. They're going to want to go to theme parks and they're going to want to know how close it is. For the season tourists, which I was one for many years, I was a season tourist. I was coming here once or twice a year from 2005 to 2012 when I moved there. So I was a season tourist. So when you become a season tourist, or even the snowbirds that come here for 3 months every year, they don't necessarily want to be close to Disney World, right? May want to be, they might go to Disney World. The grandkids may also visit them while they're here for 3 months, and they will go to Disney World, but they don't necessarily want to be in Disney all the time. So you're going to have to imagine that you're going to get three different categories of people if you're going to do a Airbnb investment. You're going to get the regular Disney goers that are coming down specifically for Disney, SeaWorld, and Universal and the other attractions. You're going to have the people that are coming down as snowbirds, where they're only coming for the colder months and they may stay 1 to 3 months. You'll have those people. And then you'll have the other kind of people that they're relocating, but they don't necessarily want to buy something immediately. So they're looking for a short-term rental furnished home to stay for maybe 1 to 6 months so that they could figure out where they want to move. Or you might have the people in the same category, but this time they're building a home and the home isn't ready as yet. So they need to rent somewhere while the home is being built. And then you also have the people that come down short term because their company has relocated them. So they need somewhere to stay while they're working. And then you also have the traveling nurses. So there's a lot of different category of people here. And people, a lot of times when I meet with investors or people looking to buy short-term rental properties, they're thinking it's only people going to Disney, but it really isn't. It really is not. Okay. It is a combination of all those things. So don't think that you have to be too close to Disney, or don't think if you have a property that's say 20 minutes away from Disney, you're going to lose, because you may not lose, right? You might be even gaining based upon the category of people that you're looking to attract. So let's get into it. How to buy a property for Airbnb investment. What are my choices? So I kind of went through this a while ago. I tend to always skip ahead of the PowerPoints, right? I kind of went through this a while ago where we mentioned, do I only want people that's coming down to Disney and they stay like a week or two? Do I want to also attract the people that are coming down on snowbirds during the winter months? Or do I want to also attract people who are coming to relocate and want somewhere to stay for a small period of time, whether it be to look for a house or while their home is being built, or to figure out what area they want to live in, or just to come down here for a few months to see if this is even the area they want to be in. And there is a combination of all those people. What I would say is you want to have all the choices, right? You want your property to be open to all the choices. The more choices your property is open to, the more bookings you'll get, right? That makes a lot of sense. Now, how do I calculate my rate of return or my ROI? Well, how do I calculate that? That is going to have a lot to do with how much is your investment, right? How much money, what's the price of the property you're looking to buy? How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, the location. What are you putting down? Are you buying it cash? Are you doing a down payment? And also, what are your nightly rates estimated to be? Now you also have two choices on this ROI. You could buy a property that already have bookings on it, that the owner is selling it, but they're saying that you could take over their bookings, right? And they already have a property management in place, kind of like a turnkey kind of thing, and you just take over. Or you could be buying a property which is brand new construction, or maybe a property that's zoned for short-term rental, but the owner never really used it for that, so it has no rental history. So then you got to figure out, okay, if it has no rental history, how long is it going to take for me to gain momentum? And it depends. For the most part, it might take you maybe the first month to start get bookings, right? Because you're going to fix it and get it together. Then you have to take professional pictures, which is very important. Then you got to decide what is your outgo in terms of, do you want a professional property management company that's gonna do the bookings for you and manage the property for you full time? Or do you want to self-manage? Do you want to use a company that's gonna do the bookings for you, but you're gonna take care of some of the management? Or do you want to self-manage totally? So those are things you have to think about. In today's world, where we have everything digital and on an app, you could see your cameras on an app. If you have exterior cameras, you can't have interior cameras. You could set your thermostat on an app. You could change the different codes for different people going in on an app. So you could control a lot of things, even if you're not here and self-managing, right? And all you need to do is get a good house cleaner, which has access to your calendar, so they'll know when someone is checking in and out. The house cleaner could also be the one to change your filters, because you got to change your filter once a month on your AC system, right? And you need to get, if you have a home and the HOA doesn't include lawn maintenance, then you'd have to get a lawn guy. And if you have a pool, then you'd have to get somebody to maintain the pool. Now, bear in mind that if you have a property management company, a full service property management company, they're going to provide these services at a cost, right? So most full-time property management companies is going to charge, say, 20% per booking, 20 to 30% per booking. They're going to charge between $150 to $250 per month to manage the property for you. And then in addition to that, you will have to, you will have to pay for pool maintenance if you have a pool, for grass cutting if you have grass and it's not a part of the HOA. And they'll take care of the house cleaner for the most part, because the guests normally pay the cleaning fee, and then they'll get the house cleaner to do the cleaning, right? Or you could self-manage, get a company to do your bookings. They typically charge like 10% booking fee, and then get your own house cleaner, your lawn maintenance guy, and your pool guy, and your pest guy, definitely pest. And you could communicate with them and they'll do your work. So you have to decide how you're going to do this. And that's going to definitely affect your ROI, right? If you're going to do full property management or self-managing, or maybe we're going to call it a hybrid, where you have a company doing your bookings, but you're doing the self-managing yourself. Or maybe you're doing your own booking, and then you have your own crew. You have your lawn person, your pest guy, your house cleaners, doing the service for you per month, and you're paying them directly up on you doing all your bookings yourself, right? So a lot of that stuff is going to boil down to how this affects your ROI, right? Also, how long will it take for you to start seeing some money? How long is it going to take for you to start profiting? What does your monthly expense look like in terms of maybe your mortgage payment, your pool maintenance, pest maintenance, lawn maintenance? The house cleaner, I don't worry about, because the guests normally pay the house cleaners, but those are some of your expense that you'll have. Also your HOA, based upon what location you're in. Those are some of the things you got to keep in mind when it comes to your rate of return. Okay, location. What location around Disney World makes sense? Well, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. There are some locations that are very close to Disney. For instance, locations in the Kissimmee, Florida 34747 are some of the closest ones to Disney, or the Kissimmee, Florida 34746. So Disney is really in Lake Buena Vista and Kissimmee, right? It's not really in Orlando. So Kissimmee, with zip codes of 34747 and 34746, is going to be some of your closer locations, especially on the 47s. Because the 34747, there's a lot of developments there that are like 5 minutes from Animal Kingdom, like literally, like really close, right? Those communities are going to be a little bit more expensive, but then again, there are so many things happening right now where the newer communities are then competing with that. So I would say not really. What I would say is, if you want to cater to people going to the parks and they're coming down for a week, they're not going to want to be in the park 7 days a week. So they're going to probably be in the park maybe 2 or 3 days of that week, maybe 5 days of that week, but they're not going to do 7. So the days that when people come down, they're going to want to be able to chill by where they're staying at for at least a day, or even early evening. And they might go to the park one full day, then the next day they might go for a half a day. They might leave the park and they want to go chill by wherever they're staying. So then what amenities are they going to go back to? Is your community offering a pool, movie theater, spa, that kind of stuff. Now, of course, all this stuff is affected by COVID, and some of the communities have completely shut down their community centers, and some of them are partially open, right? So some of them will allow so many people. Most of the saunas right now are closed. The gyms are either closed or they're very limited in opening. So these are some of the things that's going on now for COVID. Now, what I will tell you now for COVID, during COVID time, a pool home or a townhome with a pool makes a lot of sense because people don't necessarily want to go to the community pool, even if the community offers that, right? Even if they offer it, they're more looking to be by themselves in their own pool. And I remember in the heart of COVID, when people were trying to leave New York, Jersey, Connecticut, all those areas and trying to come down to Florida, they were trying to rent a pool home. That's all they were interested in. You have a pool home, just have a pool, right? So if you're looking to invest now while we're doing COVID and we're not sure where we're going, even though we know eventually COVID is going to go away, if you can afford to do something with a pool, I would say go for it, whether it be a townhome with a pool, with its own personal pool, or a home with its own personal pool, because then you'll get the best of both worlds, right? That will make sense. Not that I'm saying that if you don't have a pool, it's gonna hinder you because the community pools are still open. But I'm just saying, if you can afford to have one, it may not be a bad idea. A lot of the new construction homes now that are zoned for short-term rental or Airbnb, they're building them with pools. The townhomes and the homes the builders are actually selling them with the pool already included because that's what most people are looking for. All right. How do I decide on property management? So that's a big one, and we just touched on that with the ROI thing. But property management is gonna affect your bottom line no matter what. It will, right? How much money you're paying out to the property management company, right? Because you have to maintain the property, whether it has a property management on it or not. For instance, pool, pests, all the stuff we just spoke about, right? So how much money are you willing to give up for property management? How much can you afford? Can you afford a company that's taking 20% and asking 250 a month in property management? Or would you prefer going to a company that's probably taking 20% of your bookings, but only charging 130 per month for management, right? So that fee, the 130 or between the 130 and the 250, that fee is really, you're paying them to manage the property. So you're paying them if the guest checks in and there's a problem, they don't know how to work the remote, the AC isn't coming on, they clog the toilet, they can't find the Wi-Fi, they have someone to call. Of course, if you're self-managing, they could call you because some of the things you could probably talk with them over the phone. But if you're not self-managing, um, the property management will take care of that. If you're self-managing and they're calling you and it's something that somebody have to go out maybe to turn on the pool heat because they didn't pay for pool heat until they actually got in the property, then at that point you may want to have a relationship with your house cleaner or the person that's cleaning the home, that they're able to go out there and do that kind of thing, like maybe show the guests how to work the remote or turn the pool heat on, or they may not know how to work something in the house and they may have to go show that to them. Now, of course, during COVID, we're limited the amount of time we're going out to a guest to actually um, interact with them, but sometimes it's necessary, right? So you want to have someone on the ground. If you're self-managing and you don't live in the state, you want to have someone on the ground, which is probably is going to be your house cleaner, or maybe your pool guy, or maybe your lawn maintenance guy that you have a relationship with them. That you say to them, hey, I'm renting this home, short-term rental. There are times when the guests will call for stuff. I just need to have someone that will be able to run out and do whatever they need. I would say the house cleaner would be your best bet because the cleaner is already interacting with the home. They're the one that clean the home. They know where everything is in the home. So when the guests call and say they can't find something, they'll be able to fix it for them. And guess what? Because if you're using your house cleaner, they're not going to want to go up there all the time. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to put different notes around the house, right? For stuff that they get called on all the time. So if a guest keep calling all the time and saying, oh, the remote isn't working, and it's really because they don't know how to operate the remotes, then the house cleaner will eventually leave a little note that says, here's how you operate the remote, right? So in your handbook, you want to try to explain everything. Like, even though they may not read the book, just make sure you have a copy of the book with you so you could tell them, okay, go ahead on page 20 in your handbook, and you see where it says whatever it says, then they'll know. Or you could have a digital handbook where you could just tell them, okay, I'm gonna send you this link, go onto the app or wherever you have that digital handbook, and tell them on page 5 in paragraph 2, it tells you exactly how to do whatever. or maybe on page 1 is where the Wi-Fi information is. Because even though you may have sent them all this information before they got to the house, they're going to forget. Sometimes you may tell them the way to enter the house is digital. You may have a smart lock, and you might tell them the access is the last 4 digits of their phone number. And they'll get there and they'll be like, oh, I can't get in the house. And you're like, well, are you using the last 4 digits of your phone number? And they might say something like, oh, I must have given you the wrong number, right? Or, yeah, but it's not working. And then you'll say, well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And they might say, oh, no, that was my whole number. Oh, I must have booked with my old number. My new number is 4562, right? So these things are going to happen. There's no way to prevent a guest from not calling you. Not every guest is going to call, but some will call. So if you're self-managing, you need to have somebody on the ground. And I'd say the house cleaner would be your best bet. Okay, how do I finance it? Let's talk about financing. We have preferred lenders that we use to help you with your financing to see the best way to finance the property. If you're buying a second home here and you don't live in the state of Florida, it's going to be considered to be a second home, right? And with a second home, you're going to need 15 to 20% down to purchase it. And some people will buy a second home and then they'll use it when they're here, and then they'll use it for short-term rental when they're not here to gain income from it, right? Some people will just go ahead and buy it as an investment. If you're buying it as an investment, you might need 20 to 30% down based upon your debt to income ratio, your credit score, what other properties do you have in your credit, and all this great stuff, right? Or you could just buy it cash, right? But if you're financing, we do have local lenders here that specialize in this field. And if you're coming from out of the state or out of the country looking to buy a short-term rental property, we would suggest that you find a local lender. Even if you have a lender in wherever you are, whatever state you're in, and they said you're licensed to do mortgages in Florida, which very well might be, unless they have a branch here or they have a fellow person that works here alongside that company, it is best to find a local lender. Because if somebody's saying, I don't know, Minnesota, and they're licensed in Florida, but they don't really do a lot of mortgages in Florida, they do most of their mortgages in Minnesota, they're not going to be familiar with a lot of the little rules and laws and all kind of stuff that we have going on here, because every state has different state things going on, right? So it may be a good idea to use a local lender, which we'll obviously refer you to. That way, they'll know exactly what to do and the best way to get you to finance that property with the least amount of money from your pocket, right? So financing is going to be important if you're buying. And again, if you're not in the state, you might have to buy it as a second home, 15 to 20% down, or as an investment property, depends upon the mortgage and the guidelines along the mortgage. The investment property, you could put 20% or more. Now, if you're from out of the country, like you're from England or Canada, we do have international financing. I think for Canada right now, you're putting 40% down, and for England, it may be 55%. Each bank is different. So based upon the country you're coming from and the kind of loan we're going to need for an investment, you're still able to finance. And our lenders do work with international buyers as well as local. When I say international, I mean outside of the US, as well as US people coming out from other states, okay? So they work with both. So if you're considering buying a short-term rental or property for Airbnb, how do you go about it? There's so many questions. I can't answer all the questions. I'm trying to keep this in a 30-minute video. But I know I touched on a lot of topics, which I wish I could emphasize on, but I really can't. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is to make an appointment for a consultation by going on this website right here. On this website, you could click on it. This is our calendar. If you forget this website, just go to the giffgroup.com right here, the giffgroup.com, forget everything else. It's giffgroup.com. And once you go on the giffgroup.com, you scroll onto the middle of the page. It's going to say schedule an appointment. And our appointment calendar is in sync with everything else, so you could schedule an appointment. Once you schedule an appointment, it's going to be for a virtual Zoom call where I could literally show you what I'm talking about, take you to the different websites and understand exactly what you're looking to do, and then we could take it from there, right? I do short-term rentals myself. I have several properties that I do short-term rental with. I was doing that before I came to Florida, living in New York, relocated here in 2012. So I'm very versed on relocating from one state to the next state, and also in buying short-term rental properties, what are the ups, what are the downs, what to look for, what is the best thing to do to be successful, that kind of thing, right? So if you're looking to do that, definitely schedule a consultation with us, and we will literally go through it with you based upon your individual needs. Okay. So we're also area experts. We know what areas give you the best, what developments will work best for you. There's several different developments, different amenities being offered. Maybe you've been coming to the area for a while and you're kind of liking one area. We'll let you know if that's the best area. We'll let you know what development have the better rates of returns and what development don't necessarily have it. And the one thing I'll tell you is this. When it comes to developments, it doesn't mean that if a development isn't doing good, it doesn't mean that your property won't do good, right? Because it depends upon the marketing you put into it. Another thing I want to say is if you're looking to buy, don't always look at something that has a rental history, right? Don't say, well, this property was never on the rental pool, so it might not make any money for me. No, 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 no. That is not true. Most, I'll say all the properties I have never had a rental history before I got them, right? I got them. I wasn't taking it over from someone where they already had rentals in place and they had a property manager in place and I was taking it over. I was starting from scratch, right? And it took me from the time I renovated the property, right? So I renovated the property, put it on the market. By the time it hit the market to the time I started getting my first booking took about 2 to 3 weeks, right? So that's why I say normally a month. So don't just go off the fact that, because the problem with that you might run into is if you're looking specifically for a property that's already been rented and has a rental history, if they're giving you all the bookings with the sale of the property, you're going to have to stick to that property management company. There's no way around it, right? So if they already have a property management in place, full-term property management in place, and they have bookings and you're taking it over, the property management company is going to come with that sale. So let's say you bought the property and it had 10 bookings or 10 bookings that you took over, right, with this property management company. And the property management company might say to you, you could use us until these 10 bookings were done, but you can't use any other property management company. It kind of becomes a catch-22 because obviously if they're taking care of the property and you have these 10 bookings with them, it's still on their website. So people are going to continue to still book. So how do you get rid of them? What if you don't want them? What if you only wanted the 10 bookings and you really didn't want them, you wanted to self-manage after that? It's kind of hard to do, right? That's going to be kind of hard to do unless you don't take any more bookings until those bookings were done, right? And that wouldn't make any sense. I'll be like shooting yourself in the foot. Like, why would you not want to take any more bookings? Or unless you book off of the platforms they're on. But one of the rules that might say to you, they might say to you, okay, if you buy the property, we'll give you these 10 bookings, but you have to use us. But you can't, once you close on the property, you can't advertise on any other platforms we're on, which is all the platforms anyway, right? So they're going to be on Airbnb, they're going to be on Verbi, they're going to be on all this stuff because it will be a contradiction. You can't have the same property with 2 different management companies, or you can't be on the platform. Like for Airbnb, you can't have the same property on the platform and have a property management company having the same company on the platform. That's a violation. So only one person could represent a property at a time on the platform. So how do you get rid of someone? How do you get rid of the property management company? You'd have to let them keep booking for you, wait for the 10 bookings to finish. They're going to still have other bookings, but you're going to have to probably just not honor those bookings to switch them because it's very difficult to switch sometimes from property management companies without losing bookings. Unless you tell them don't book anything from after whatever the date is, and then just don't have anything else booked, and then that's what you'd get rid of them. However, on the bright side, it may be a fantastic property management company, and you may want to use that, right? Maybe a fantastic property management company, you love them. Ever since you bought the property, they had like 10 different bookings. It was a lovely relationship. They got you like 30 more bookings, and you just love working with them. So it could work either way, but just be mindful of that. So if you're thinking of doing some Airbnb or short-term rental investment, we're going to invite you to give us a call, to go on our website and schedule an appointment to talk with us, right? We make complimentary consultations all the time because it's a very complicated venture, and not every real estate agent knows how about short-term rental, unfortunately. Some real estate agents are just good with selling your home if you're going to live in the home. If you're thinking of doing a real estate, an investment type thing, they're not going to be as versed. We are versed in short-term rental, Airbnb, Verbio, booking, all that stuff. How to buy the property, what locations to buy in, what are your audience, what audience do you really want to attract? Do you want to have all 3 category of guests open, Disney, people, snowbirds, and also people coming down relocating? Or do you only want to focus on Disney? Or do you only want to focus on people looking to rent 2 to 3 months because you don't really want to do a weekly thing? The possibility is endless when it comes to Central Florida because so many people are moving now, right? Do you want to have, and forget talking about that, do you prefer just a condo on the beach? Maybe you just want to have a condo in Clearwater and rent that, right? And there's stipulations with Clearwater as well, because for most of the Clearwater short-term rental, you got to be there for at least some 30 days, some 90 days. So it depends, right? So there's a few things to think about when you're thinking about this. So one of the first thing is you need to know what areas are zoned for short-term rentals, right? Parts of Kissimmee are zoned for short-term rentals. Remember, we mentioned 34747, 34746. We also have the Champions Gate area, Davenport, but not all of Davenport. Parts of Davenport are closer to Disney World, like Davenport in Champions Gate, the 33896 zip code, and the 33836 zip codes, right? Those zip codes are more zoned, and you have to make sure it's zoned for that. That's a question that you must know before you do anything. So every home isn't zoned for short-term rental. Every townhome isn't zoned for short-term rental. Every condo isn't zoned for short-term rental. You want to make sure it's zoned that way. Don't buy it and then discover it's not. That's going to be a problem. Okay, so we don't want to do that. So if you prefer to call us, you could definitely call us at 407-791-4713. Give us a call and we will talk to you and then schedule a Zoom call so we could show you exactly the best way to get short-term rental properties, what to look for, how to find these people. How do you find the people that's going to Disney? How do you find the people that's coming down for snowbirds? That's a little doubts, right? How do you find the people that's coming down for snowbirds? Or how do you find the people who are coming they want to stay somewhere because they're building a home and it's not finished yet, or they're planning to relocate but they want to come live here for a little bit, or they're buying a home but they want to calm down first to really know the locations, right? How do you find these people? Where are they? They're surely not on Airbnb. A lot of those people are not. The more different people are in Airbnb, Verbi, those kind of things. The snowbirds are not necessarily in Airbnb, but some of them are. The ones looking to relocate are probably not going to be looking at those locations because if they're coming to rent for 3 to 6 months, they probably are not going to want to be paying those kind of rates, right? So there's other places you got to look for them, and we'll provide you with all that information. So make an appointment for a virtual one-on-one call if you are thinking of doing this. If you have any questions, definitely give us a call. Again, our website is thegiffgroup.com. You scroll down and then you're able to make an appointment with us. Okay. So thank you so much for listening. It's 30 minutes. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to do a 1 hour video next on this, but I will do part 2 of this next week, right? Part 2 of this next week is going to be, we're going to take a look at some of the properties that might be available for short-term rental. We'll take a look at some of the communities and we will compare communities. Like communities offering a lot of amenities with a higher HOA versus a community offering smaller amounts of amenities and a lesser HOA. So we will take a look at that next week. I thank you so much for listening to us today. And thank you so much for listening to us today. We do enjoy you. We enjoy these live calls every week. And so I'm going to say goodbye.